Welcome to Not Just Money with your hosts, Doretta and Li. This isn't your typical podcast about finances. It's a podcast about all the money conversations we aren't having, sometimes not even with ourselves. Join us on this journey of hard truths, lived experience, and the wisdom that comes from both. Because money is never just about money.
Hey Lee, it's mailbag time, and I'm really excited about this because I missed the last one. You were all on your lonely.
I aced it. Thank
Yes,
you very much.
You did. You
Thinking to
did.
myself.
Oh, of course you did. Actually, I really enjoyed listening to it. It was kind of fun just to be just the audience and not, when we listen to ourselves afterwards, sometimes we're a little judgmental about ourselves. But I just had fun listening to you. So listen, first of all, before we get into the mailbag, I want to know how the push pop story turned out.
Oh. Well, let me ask you, how did you think it went?
Well, or maybe we should remind, in case people are just listening in on this episode, the push pop episode had to do with Lee's daughter wanting this particular treat. Lee agreeing that she could buy this treat, but that she couldn't actually have it. It was one of those candy push pop things until the end of the week if her behavior had met the appropriate parental standard. I think it had to do with finishing meals and going to bed on time or something.
Yes, if you want to hear the full story, it is in episode 19 about kids in a cashless world. Yeah, so let me ask you again, how do you think it went?
Well, I think it's really hard for a 5-year-old to modify behavior for a several day future reward. But I also wonder, since you left it in the pocket of her backpack, if she didn't sample it anyway.
Well, here's how it went. Day 1, we pick it up after school. Day 2, she comes home. She said, "You know, Mommy, I was playing with it and the wrapper fell off."
F.
You already know where this is going. Now, she didn't open it,
Uh-huh.
but the wrapper, quote unquote, came undone
Oh,
as
it
she
did.
was, I guess, fidgeting with it. Okay. Next day, she gets off the bus. She's talking to me, and I go, "That's interesting. I don't remember your tongue being blue." So I go, "Did you eat this push?" We're only halfway through the week. Okay, this is day 3 of 5. And there's a lot of silence. And more silence. And I said, "You know, I'm going to go home and check." And she looks a bit sheepishly at me and said, "Well, I just sampled the blue one." Because it's like a 3 flavor push pop. I don't know. They get fancier by the years. And also maybe the watermelon flavor. I said, "Okay, this is a slow, slippery slide to hell here." We get home. I open the little pocket. I take out the push pop, and it's empty.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
So we had a nice discussion about making promises, keeping promises, because most people who know me will know that I am someone who always keeps my word, and that's very important to me. And so we took this as a teachable moment, but until I can be satisfied that she will keep her word, there will be no push pops in her near future.
So how did she react to that?
I think she has taken her punishment in stride, but I don't know, like kids, what is their long-term memory at this point? 4 hours? 5 hours? I don't know. So today she came home, we had another discussion about it, because there are some values that I think are really important. For me, it's really about honesty. It's about, again, not wasting. We've talked about this before. So those are really kind of my bars to things. And this is just a way for me to kind of reinforce those ideas. maybe through the consumption of a piece of candy.
I wonder if the experiment was perhaps more complex than you intended it to be and was actually testing more than one thing simultaneously. And at 5 years old, it's probably better to test one thing at a time,
But you live and learn, right?
right?
And
I'm
she
just
really
thinking,
wanted this push pop. So I'm
yes,
like, okay, let's see how far I can push it. Now,
yeah,
did I think she was really going to last until Friday? A hard no.
yeah,
I mean, she is 5, but I just found it very interesting the progression
yes,
of this.
yeah. Interesting.
And just, and how she frames it. I find those conversations very interesting, and how she likes to avoid conflict. Like, these are all indicators of essentially how she will be when she grows up. And so I want to have some interventions here and there, and that will maybe, hard maybe, make the teenage years less crap. But TBD, we'll
Well,
talk about it in 10
good
years.
luck with that. Good luck with
Yeah,
that.
we can hope. We can hope and say a prayer. Okay. So
Okay,
yes,
okay.
that's the update.
Okay, so now how about the mailbag? Tell me what have we got in the mailbag to dive into?
So there was a lot of feedback on retail and revenge spending.
Oh
That
yeah.
seemed like the hot topic.
Hmm. Hmm. Like
Well,
what?
one of my favorites, one of our regular listeners, said that the revenge spending episode made them want to spend because it sounds cool. I was like, how do I reply to this? Like, please don't spend. That is 100% not the point of that episode. Maybe re-listen to it? I don't know.
Oh, but that is too funny. Definitely not the idea. Huh. Well, what do you think about that? I mean, what would make someone who presumably doesn't revenge spend now think that it was cool?
I don't know. It's possible they don't normally spend, and perhaps this was like a voyeurism thing where you're looking into the life of somebody else and you're like, I didn't know people did that. I wonder what that feels like. I don't know. This is total conjecture here.
Right, right,
But
right.
it's this idea of like, what is that like? And does that bring me a hit of dopamine, however short that may be? Or is there another way that I can cope with some of the things that I'm dealing with? I don't know. But if you are listening to this, there are better ways. Run the track. Drink some water. I don't know. Have good habits.
I'm a big fan myself of a hot bath with music.
There you go. Take that
Bubbles,
advice.
a glass of wine.
Yeah. In the same vein, another person asked what luxury travel was. I don't know
Huh.
where to go with that. It would be a travel that is insanely expensive. That's how
Yeah.
I would define it. Or like super over the top.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
have your own butler, everything's private. I mean, I'm just listing things. This is not the way I travel. I don't roll in the dough here. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can Google luxury travel or hashtag luxury travel. There's got to be TikToks on that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I think so that the thing is that luxury travel is not automatically revenge spending. I mean, for one thing, what you consider luxurious varies a lot person to person, right? I mean, my son travels for 2 years with a backpack staying at hostels. The idea of staying at a place with a private room in a one-star hotel would be luxury travel for him and the way he thinks, right? So there's that. But I think there's a real difference that between something that you recognize as luxurious, but it's something that's, really special or that you've planned for and saved for. It's luxury, but it's not revenge. It's not something you're doing as a sort of, I hate to go there again, damn the torpedoes moment, right? It's something that is in fact within your control. I mean, last year my husband and I took a very luxurious trip as part of a bigger holiday, but a week of it was pretty over the top luxurious. But it was a very special anniversary for us. We had planned this trip literally since a similar trip 10 years before. Like it was a sort of marking another decade. And I don't consider that revenge spending at all, although it was absolutely indulgent. It was absolutely luxurious, but it was not revenge.
Here's another one, and this is for you. One of our listeners is calling you out for saying that you don't do retail therapy, and then tell us about your auction hunts and becoming the queen of eBay. Wow, that's harsh. Harsh.
That is harsh. But that's interesting. I mean, I wonder if part of this is like how we see ourselves. And I don't want to admit that I fall into that. Gee, I have to really think about that. I would go back to say that retail therapy is really about self-soothing behavior. And, when we looked into the research around it, it is the dopamine element, but it also has a danger element because your brain is actually learning to moderate emotions by spending. It's also very tied to regret. I would say that, and maybe this is just me justifying myself again, but it,
Would you like a shovel?
so
It might
yeah.
make this faster.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's
think at the
interesting.
end of the day, the way I would draw the line is, like you said, right? There's an element of looking back and being sad about it and feeling regret. And also if those actions is putting you in debt or bankrupting you. I think that's the line. Like, if you every now and then want to get expensive chocolate because you had a shit day, hey, as long as that chocolate is not accumulating debt and it's just a little indulgence, because we all have those days where we need something to get us through, and that's totally normal. And in a way, it could be considered retail therapy because it's emotionally driven, but I think it becomes harmful when there's a long-term consequence to it.
Mhm.
And I think that's where I draw the line, because I know for you, the whole auction and eBay stuff, you were very militant about your budget and what you were buying and not buying and how much you were spending. So sure, you were still getting that hit of dopamine, and you like the hunt, and most people enjoy that. That's why places like Winners and Marshalls, where they have a little bit of everything, people enjoy, because it's that thrill of finding something that is exactly what you were looking for in your size as part of the fun. But it's just whether or not that behavior leads to detrimental situations later on, I think that becomes the problem.
Yeah, I think so. And I could try to think, but I could pretty much say, almost without exception, that I did not have regrets about things that I bought. I was very careful. When I was doing the auction thing, and remember, this was a long time ago, I was furnishing a country house with no money. I had rooms that were almost empty that I was slowly, getting furniture for, and never spent generally more than $75, $80 on a single piece of furniture. I was actually pretty proud of the things I was able to come up with. It was more, my dopamine hit was around the hunt and finding that perfect thing. I did not regret those purchases. I really felt that I'd done a good job.
So here's my homework for you. The next mailbag episode, I want you to come back to our listeners, especially this individual who asked this question, but ask your kids if they remember you regretting anything. Because remember that memory can be interesting part of our lives, and we sometimes forget things to make
Okay.
ourselves feel better. So I want you to, especially your daughter, because I know she's going to know. Like, if there is something that you bought and you were like, oh, really shouldn't have bought that, she would know. So I'm going to leave that as homework.
Okay.
And that in she will, right?
She used to come to auctions with me. We had fun.
Exactly.
Good times.
So I would ask her this question and say, this was a question from our listeners. What do you think? You're not the only one who got called out. So when I made that joke about the aluminum foil 18 years, and then I made that side comment about, well, it could be worse, it could be condoms. One very helpful listener suggested that I share that condoms do expire.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, you should not be using ones that are 18 years old for safety, because I don't want to be sued for
Child support?
kids coming out of nowhere, alimony, whatever that may be. So thank you. Really appreciate you looking out. Okay, moving on. Here's another one from a listener who is learning how to stop saving everything for a special occasion that never comes. That's really interesting, because apparently your comments around saving your notebooks and specialty ink really resonated with them. But I think as a family, they decided that they were going to use the nice china as an everyday thing rather than save it for the one special occasion, because I think everyone feels time differently, right? So at what point do you say, what is the utility of this? If I use it only at special holidays, I take it out, I don't know, 3-4 times a year. But why can't I use the nice things every day?
Yeah, I think that is a really interesting one. I think it tends to come from a scarcity mindset that you sort of hoard the special things, and also for some people, I think a sense of kind of unworthiness about using the good things every day. I think it takes a really special kind of look and generosity with yourself. I know my mother-in-law was very much, she was a child of the Depression, and we would give her a beautiful new sweater for Christmas in her special color and all that kind. And it would sit in a drawer for 3 years before she could bring herself to think about taking it out. One thing I would really suggest is if you want to read a really interesting piece about this. There's an American humorist named Irma Bombach, and she died quite a long time ago, but not long before she died. She wrote an essay called something like "If I Had My Life to Live Over," something like that. And she was dying at the time that she wrote it.
I'm pretty sure the cover said, "Eat less cream cheese, eat more ice cream."
Something like that.
Yeah, it's very random, but I mean, I would agree. Like,
the one
or
that
cottage
I
cheese, not cream cheese, cottage cheese.
The one I remember was she said I would use the rose candle that ended up getting melted in something, but it was the idea of saving things for special occasions and celebrating today, celebrating the moment. It's quite a famous piece. If you Google Irma Bombach, you will find this piece guaranteed. It's very short. I really recommend it.
Awesome. Next, I love the savings hacks that folks are sending in. Here's one, which I thought was really cute. My wallet was stolen, so I had to cancel my cards. This forced me to reconcile all my BS subscriptions. Many were canceled, so losing my wallet actually saved me about $50 a month. Well, thank you for that story.
I love it.
Personally, I think you should definitely do that every year. Pretend you lost your wallet and review. Well, maybe without losing your wallet, because that's terrible. And one day I will tell you that story when I got robbed. Right, as I was having coffee with Doretta. That will be coming in another episode. Another tip, don't be afraid to fight with your cable provider. I think that goes for any services, whether that's cell phone, cable, whatever. They recommend scheduling a call with them 3 to 4 times per year. Wow, that's actually higher than I would have suggested.
Wow.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Always, like 3 to 4 times. That's not every quarter. Always threaten to go to the other guys. True. Read them the teaser rates verbatim while you are fighting. Oh, I love these strategies here. Apparently it saves them hundreds of dollars every year.
That is an interesting thing, though. You know that there are often special offers to join, and then you revert to whether it's a subscription, whatever it is. There's a special rate for so long, and then it kicks into the normal rate. Generally speaking, if you challenge that, they will extend your bonus rate, your joining rate. I have done this a number of times. And I remember even back in my marketing days, that was actually one of the things that we actively taught, was that if someone asks for it, just give them the introductory offer.
There you go. Pro tip. Repeat
Gotta
it.
ask. You just gotta ask.
Yep. Okay. We also had some comments around harm reduction. They suggested maybe it's, reducing the spend cap on things like gambling. They enjoyed some of the strategies that we provided, and that sales are helping my future self to save money. Okay, well, we did talk about sales is still spending. It's not your saving money, it's just a discount. But I appreciate that they keep a list of things I really want and then monitor prices. That's delayed gratification. That works well, especially if something you've always wanted but can wait for a special sale or a special deal or a special season, because everything has a discounted day, especially when like a second version of something comes out. I feel like for technology, if there's something you really like, but you don't mind if it's like first gen or second gen, when the next version of it comes out, then a previous version immediately loses 50% of its value, and that's when you get a really great deal.
Yeah. Another one that I would think about in that vein, if it's possible, don't buy a cheap substitute till you can afford something better. Just do without it till you can afford what you want. I know that's not possible for absolutely everything. Like sometimes you really do need to have whatever the thing is, and you may not be able to afford exactly what you want. But I think there's something to be said for just waiting for the perfect thing. I mean, I'll give you an example. You've been to my house. You know how many hundreds, probably several thousand books there are. There are books everywhere. But for a very long time, we just kept our books literally in milk crates, stacked milk crates. And we had the bricks and boards and stuff like that until we could afford nice bookcases. You don't always have to buy a cheap version that you then have to throw out to replace with something better. And the price of the cheap version gets applied to the thing that you really want.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things there. First is the length of time you're going to keep something. I think that's a really important distinction. Like, for example, I think your bookcases are forever. And so if that is really important to you and you value, then I do think you need to save up for it and budget for it appropriately. But I mean, there's a lot of substitutes that I'm like, this is good enough. But they're probably not things that I intend to keep around for the next 100 years. So I think there's a good balance in that, personally. And sometimes just because it's not the name brand doesn't mean it's a lesser quality, to be honest. Because sometimes what you're paying an extra is because of the name brand, not because of the item.
That's true. That's true. Although I will say this is I think a little bit of a philosophical difference between you and me. One of those areas, because I am generally
100%.
Yeah. I am generally a very kind of like more old-fashioned sort of buy high quality, keep it forever. Like I am that kind of person. Although what's happening more and more is even very expensive brand stuff, nothing lasts anymore. Like a lot of stuff just does seem to have built-in obsolescence. Just kind of depressing.
And sometimes, to be fair, they come out of the same factory. Pro tip.
Okay.
All right. I think that's the end of the mailbag. Is there anything else we want to cover before we sign off for today?
I think so. I think that's fun. That was fun. And I am still going to think really hard about whether I'm hiding from my own use of retail therapy.
Yes, and we will keep our listeners updated on the next episode of The Mail Run.
So that's all for today. If you've got any thoughts that you'd like to share with us, anything you'd like us to follow up on, drop us a line at notjustmoneypodcast@gmail.com.
Talk. You've been listening to Not Just Money with Doretta and Li. Click on the show's description for links to resources related to today's conversation. Our aim is to share sources that provide objective information that can help you make informed financial decisions. Please rate and review our show. If you'd like to get in touch with us, email us at notjustmoneypodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to be featured on the show, you can send us your questions and comments by a written email, audio file, or video file. Please include your name and city. This show is produced and edited by Li, with original music by Leo Zhang cello and artwork by John Tu. Now for some legalese. Please note that the views expressed by our hosts and guests are theirs alone and should not be viewed as financial advice. This podcast is intended to be entertainment and educational in nature. Please seek additional professional support or information before acting on any podcast information. As always, good talk.